When Roger Federer said 8 simple words, the entire tennis world seemed to stop breathing. She is the future of world tennis. It was the kind of statement that lands like a thunderbolt, unexpected, powerful, and impossible to ignore. But what many people don't realize is that the story behind why he said it is even bigger than the quote itself. A 20-year-old girl from the Philippines, whose name much of the world struggled to pronounce just 2 years ago, was suddenly being pointed out by one of the greatest players in history as the sport's future. Before dismissing it as hype, consider this. What does it truly take to earn the blessing of a legend? The answer may completely change how you see Alex Eala. And welcome back to Tennis Pulp, where we dive deep into the stories shaping the world of tennis. To understand why Federer's words carried so much weight, you first have to understand where Alex Eala came from and what she was told she could never become. The Philippines has never been known as a tennis powerhouse. That's not an insult. It's a reality every Filipino athlete with a racket has had to confront. In Southeast Asia, tennis has long been associated with privileged country clubs, distant satellite broadcasts of Wimbledon, and ambitious dreams that coaches sometimes quietly label as unrealistic. The nation has produced boxing icons, basketball heroes, and resilient competitors across many sports, but Grand Slam tennis champions? That conversation had barely begun. Born on May 23, 2005 in Quezon City, Philippines, Alex Eala grew up far from the traditional centers of tennis power. As the daughter of businessmen Mike Eala and Riza Eala, she carried not only her family's support, but also the quiet weight of a nation unaccustomed to seeing itself on tennis's biggest stages. Her mother, a former national swimmer and longtime executive, understood elite competition and discipline at the highest level. Her maternal grandfather, Bobby Maniego, was the one who first placed a racket in her hands when she was just 4 years old. That small moment on a quiet court in the Philippines would become the foundation of everything that followed. It was a grandfather's belief, long before the world was ready, that set the stage for something extraordinary. At just 13 years old, Alexandra made a life-altering decision. She moved to Spain to train at the Rafael Nadal Academy, an institution known for producing some of the fiercest competitors in modern tennis. Imagine the weight of that transition, a young teenager leaving her family, crossing continents, navigating a new language, a new culture, and the relentless expectations of an academy built in a country where tennis greatness is not just admired, it is demanded. Those years in Spain were not glamorous. They were grueling. Early mornings, endless drills, physical exhaustion, mental pressure, and emotional isolation became daily companions. But it was there that Alexandra forged the mental armor that would later define her rise. By 2022, the world received its first undeniable sign that this young athlete was different. At the US Open Junior Championships, 17-year-old Eala captured the girls' singles title, becoming the first Filipino in history to win a Grand Slam Junior Championship. Across the Philippines, families gathered around televisions in disbelief. Parents messaged their children. Tears were shed in living rooms, dormitories, and overseas workers' quarters. For the first time in modern history, the Philippines had a true tennis champion to call its own. Yet, a junior Grand Slam title is only the beginning. It is the prologue, not the climax. The real story, the battle to translate promise into professional dominance, was only just beginning. Her early professional years were humbling. Rankings. Stuck in the 200s. Painful qualifying losses. Early exits in small ITF tournaments that few people streamed and even fewer watched. It was the kind of grind that quietly breaks many promising juniors before they ever reach the bright lights of the main tour. In 2024, Alexandra peaked around world number 143. Respectable, yes, but nowhere near the level that would spark conversations involving legends like Federer. On paper, nothing screamed future face of tennis, but numbers rarely tell the whole story. What the rankings didn't capture was her foundation. She had been shaped by the Nadal Academy mentality, relentless effort, humility, and daily improvement. That work ethic wasn't just taught, it was absorbed. Day after day, match after match, she kept building even when the spotlight was nowhere in sight. Then came 2025, and everything changed. March arrived, and with it, the Miami Open, one of the most prestigious hardcourt tournaments in the world. The draw was stacked with elite players. The storyline seemed pre-written. Alexandra entered as a wild card, ranked outside the top 140. Many assumed her invitation was about representation rather than competition. She was expected to be a feel-good story, not a disruptor. Her opening match was solid, promising but not shocking. Then came the second round. She stunned a former Grand Slam champion. Suddenly, people leaned forward. Then she defeated Madison Keys, a reigning major champion and one of the most dangerous players on tour. The whispers turned into roars. And then came the moment that shook tennis to its core. She dismantled the world number 2 in straight sets. As a wild card, Alexandra recorded back-to-back victories over top 5 players in the same tournament, something almost unheard of for a player ranked outside the top 100. The stadium in Miami wasn't ready for what it was witnessing. Filipino fans who had traveled thousands of miles erupted in emotional celebration. Across the United States and back home, families watched in disbelief and pride. Overseas workers streamed matches during lunch breaks, in hospital hallways, and on construction sites. Many cried openly. What began as a wild card appearance had become a declaration. This was no Cinderella cameo. This was an arrival. Although Alexandra eventually fell in the semifinals after a grueling 3-set battle, the result barely mattered. She had already made history as the first Filipino to reach a WTA 1000 semifinal and the first to crack the WTA Top 100. The tennis world had taken notice, and so had Roger Federer. Federer, officially retired but still one of the most respected voices in the sport, watched her Miami run unfold. He didn't deliver a lengthy statement. He didn't orchestrate a press conference. He simply said 8 words. She is the future of world tennis. From Federer, those words carry the weight of a lifetime of credibility. The internet exploded, headlines multiplied, social media ignited. Not everyone applauded. Some analysts questioned whether the praise had come too soon. Others argued that one spectacular tournament does not define a career. And they weren't wrong. Greatness is measured over years, not weeks. But the numbers continued to rise. By February 2026, Alexandra had reached a career-high world ranking of number 40, becoming the highest-ranked Filipino tennis player in history. She had defeated multiple top 10 players, reached tour finals, and proven she could compete at the sport's highest level. Still, the scrutiny intensified. Her Grand Slam performances remained inconsistent. Early round exits and tough losses highlighted the gap between breakout brilliance and sustained dominance. That reality became especially evident at the Australian Open, where she suffered a heartbreaking first-round loss after dominating the opening set. The match revealed areas needing improvement, particularly her serve and ability to control momentum under pressure. Rather than deny these shortcomings, Alexandra confronted them head-on. After a tough loss in Dubai, she admitted, "There's still a gap between me and the very top." It was a statement of humility, clarity, and maturity. In an era defined by curated confidence, her honesty stood out. She wasn't chasing hype. She was chasing growth. Fellow players noticed. Some of the biggest names on tour praised her composure and work ethic. Fans expressed frustration when she was scheduled on smaller courts or late-time slots, arguing that her popularity and performances demanded center-stage treatment. Tournament organizers eventually responded, and Alexandra delivered, producing high-level tennis under the brightest lights. Yet, beyond the matches, something even larger was unfolding. Alexandra wasn't just winning tennis matches. She was shifting a nation's perception of what was possible. For decades, Filipino athletes were celebrated primarily in boxing and basketball. Now, a young woman with a racket was inspiring millions to believe that tennis, too, could belong to them. Overseas workers, students, and families spoke of how her victories gave them pride and connection across continents. One Filipino worker summed it up simply: since the era of Manny Pacquiao, no athlete had united the nation quite like Alexandra Eala. That comparison carried immense weight. And still, she had yet to win a Grand Slam. This is the stage of the journey where promise transforms into legacy. The spotlight grows brighter. Expectations intensify. Opponents study every pattern. Pressure becomes constant. It is here that many careers plateau, but it is also here that legends are forged. Federer's statement wasn't a prediction. Carved in stone, it was recognition of potential, resilience, and character. After 2 decades at the sports summit, he understands what greatness looks like long before trophies confirm it. In Alexandra, he saw the same fire, humility, and hunger that once drove his own rise. When asked what Federer meant to her, Alexandra spoke not of records or titles, but of grace, composure, and character. She admired how he carried himself on and off the court. That response revealed the depth of her mindset. She understands that greatness isn't measured solely in trophies, but in conduct, resilience, and the ability to inspire. With each tournament, her journey becomes larger than rankings. It becomes about possibility. A young girl from the Philippines, once told her dreams were unrealistic, now stands on the global stage rewriting what her country believes it can achieve. So, what happens next? Will her serve evolve? Will her Grand Slam results catch up to her tour success? Will she lift a major trophy and silence every doubt? The courts of 2026 and beyond will decide. But one thing is already certain. When Roger Federer said she is the future of world tennis, he wasn't just offering praise, he was acknowledging a shift, a new story, a new standard. And right now, Alexandra Eala is not just chasing history, she is creating it. This has been Tennis Pulp, where the game's biggest stories come alive.